Welcome back, everybody. So today we're going to respond to the question that Iron Horse Garage has put out there. They want to know the story about the one that got away. Let's watch the show intro. I'll see you in 30 seconds. It's not long. It won't take you long at all. I'm Mike, and this is my truck, but this is my car's shop.
Working out of a 100-year-old refurbished barn, bringing 35 years of experience to projects considered beyond repair. Vision, creativity, and problem solving are essential tools in this place. Watch as we transform junk into polished metal miracles. This is my car's shop.
Iron Horse Garage, if you don't know who they are, check them out. I'll put a link down in the comment section, or I will put a thing up here at some point through this video. But they had posed a challenge or a question to tell the story about the one that got away. And so I've thought about that for actually quite a while. In many ways, I consider most of the cars that I've owned, if not all of them, ones that I allowed to get away. I had to do some thinking. I've owned over 100 cars, just collector cars, not including dailies, or pretty close to that anyway. And obviously I don't own that many now, so I've let a lot of them get away. But I had to think about what are the ones, not so much that I had, that I let go of, because that would have been a choice, whether it was a financial reason or just whatever. And there's a lot of stories there about cars that I definitely let get away if that was the way I chose to view this. But I wanted to do something a little different and talk about the ones that I shoulda, woulda, coulda, but didn't for some reason. And that's there's a lot of those too. There are probably 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 cars that I can think of right now that I let get away and I kick myself for. And so that's the ones I want to do. Talk about those. So number 1, when I was in college, I worked in a hot rod shop called Street Scene, and we built hot rods, and that's where I learned a lot of the skills. That's where I got introduced to how to do paint and body work. I was working there. I was a student full-time, and I was also working on university as a custodian, as well as when I had time, I was allowed to bring my own cars into the shop and work on them. So, which wasn't a lot, but I did have time. So, being as we were a traditional hot rod shop, our main focus was 32 to 48 Ford hot rods, and we definitely had a lot of those there. We had a 40 Ford Coupe, which is another one that could be in here that I could have bought, but I didn't, but that's not the ones I was referring to. And so I was interested in those vehicles, which is why I liked working there. We had a lot of other things too, and they weren't all just Ford products, but the owner was a Ford nut, so most of what we had was Fords. Anyway, so I was looking for a fat fender car. Imagine that. And a lot of times on weekends, Becky and I would go out looking around, or some friends and I would go out looking around, and we were always on the hunt for whatever we were interested in. But right in town, just a few blocks from the rod shop, there was a 48 Ford fat fender 2-door sedan, just like the car I have now. And I did the old... And the guy came to the door, and I asked him about the car that was parked across the road in the trees. I'm not selling that. Kind of a crabby old guy. I'm going to fix that up someday. You know the type. So I didn't think much of it. Okay, fine. Went on my way. And so, yeah, I kind of just kept my ears out, and I heard that the old guy passed away. But life happened, and I didn't I didn't follow through on it and follow up with it. And a few months went by, and I think actually winter happened. And in that part of the country, winter is 8 feet of snow, so there's no moving a car out of any place like that. So in the spring, car bugs biting harder again, and I decide to go over and knock on the door.
Hello?
Son comes to the door. Guy was probably in his 40s. I don't know. I was a kid, so everybody was old to me at that point. Guy comes to the door, and I asked him about the fat fender Ford across the road, and he said,
Yeah, there's a guy supposed to come and get that Saturday, but I'm telling you, I've had so many people tell me that if that car is here after Saturday, come and get it, you can have it.
Oh boy! Oh boy! I was excited. So of course on Sunday, I immediately go over there, and the car is gone. And I just kicked myself because if I had been a little bit quicker and talked to the guy sooner, I probably could have had that car. Now I have one now, and I'm very happy with it because of the personal connection to the previous owner. But that's number one. Oh boy, car number two. I want to take a moment and talk to you today about a real struggle that people are going through right here in the world today. Did you know that there are many small YouTube channels who are really struggling every day to try to grow their channel? These are channels like Iron Horse Garage, Muscle City Madness, Duddy's Adventures, and even little bigger channels like Bad Tree Productions. But you can help for the low cost of nothing more than a like and a subscribe. Go and find these channels. Reach out. Think of something beyond yourself. And while you're at it, consider subscribing to My Cars Shop. You can make a difference in the life of the struggling YouTuber who's trying to grow a new channel. Thank you so much for your consideration. Car number two was owned by somebody who views the channel. A friend of mine named David from back in high school. We hung out together. We were car buddies. And he had a really cool 67 Belvedere 2 383 automatic, silver and black with Keystone Classics Dave. I think that's what was on it. Yeah, and we were always swapping stuff back and forth and trading stuff. And he's probably one of the few guys I know that has had more cars than I have. But I loved that 67 Belvedere. And there was a time that we were working out a deal and working out a trade, and I backed out. What was I thinking? And that car got away because I think he sold it to his brother-in-law, and then I don't know where it went from there. But and the reason that one's a regret is I love the 67 Belvedere 2, number one. But number two, my girlfriend at the time, was in love with that car, and she's always wanted a 67 Belvedere 2. So that's regret number two. Yeah, so kick myself for that one. And I would bet that if you ask David, he would say the same thing, that he kicks himself for letting that car go too. Live and learn. We were kids, and they weren't worth much back then. But it wasn't even about what the car was worth. Number three is the one I kick myself from here to next Sunday. I have for, oh my goodness, 40 years, 35 years probably. So I was living and working in a city called Port Huron, Michigan. In fact, my buddy David that I was just talking about was living there at the same time. Not that has anything to do with this story. And I was driving around doing whatever in my 68 Dodge Dart GT that I had, 318 automatic, nothing special. But I was just driving around and happened to come across a Barracuda. I think it was blue with a black vinyl top. 70 Barracuda. 70 Cuda. So, of course, I'm all excited. Love it, love it, love it. Adrenaline's going. It's for sale on the side of the road. I stop, look at the car. I think maybe Becky was with me. We were married by then. Probably, maybe not. We got married that summer. Doesn't matter. So I stopped to look at the car, and this younger guy, younger as in his 20s, probably comes out, and we're talking the car and looking it over, and opens the hood, and it's a 340. I look inside, it's a 4-speed, and he was asking, I want to say $1,500. The car was either $1,500 or $2,500. I think it was $15,000. And at that time, I figured I might be able to get close to $1,000 for my Dart, but I couldn't come up. I was dirt poor, college student, working a summer job. I wanted that car in the worst way. And the more we talked, he says, yeah, actually, this is an AAR that somebody repainted. And I'm going, right, sure it is. 340 4-speed AAR. Come on, I'm not born yesterday. Didn't say that, but he goes, come on back here a minute. He opens up the trunk, and there's the 6-pack sitting in the trunk. Yeah, I kick myself to this day for not buying that car. Even if it wasn't truly an AAR, like he said, what I kind of tend to think it was, but from what I know now. Even so, 340 4-speed 6-pack 70 Cuda, and I didn't buy it for $1,500 in 1987. What the? Yeah, so those are the 3 that got away. There are a lot more, but those are the 3 that I woulda, coulda, shoulda bought and didn't buy. There are a ton more cars like that, of course, that if I spent some time thinking about, I probably would add to this list, but I wanted to limit it to 3 and just share those. So, the 4748 Fat Fender, the 67 Belvedere 2, and the potential AAR 346 pack 4-speed. Oh my God, that one just makes me sick to my stomach. I probably would have kept that car forever, because the only car I've ever wanted more than a 70 Cuda 340 would have been a 70 Hemi Cuda. So anyway, I'm sure there are a lot more, and they wouldn't all just be Mopar, but 2 of my 3 definitely would be Mopar, because for me, 95% Mopar. Love Mopar, always have, always will. Started out life as a Ford guy, but switched to Mopar when I was in high school, and I've never regretted it since. All right, that's going to do it for this episode. You know the usual stuff. Subscribe, like, hit the bell, all that stuff. Drop some comments down there. Tell us some stories of your own. And if you have a YouTube channel, I can't think of anybody specifically to call out at this point about the one that got away. Yes, I can. John, Life at Speed. Tell us about the one that you let get away. If you haven't checked out John's channel, go over there and do that. He's got a car. He's got a bunch of cars, but the one I'm really looking forward to, he's just getting started on. It's a 71 Cuda clone car that he's going to build for racing. And it's going to be really cool, because the car that he purchased is burnt to the ground, and he's going to rebuild it from the ground up. So there you go. Check out John's channel. That's going to do it. All right. So, yeah. Rock on.